I say this with great sadness because the issue of mental health is a very serious one. Everyone has seen what Kanye West was posting to social media and those cheering him on. Despite having various mental illnesses, Kanye does have agency on some parts of his life, and even if he doesn't, those who are around him definitely do have agency. And here's the important part. While he was praising Hitler and Nazi Germany, he forgot to mention the Action T4 program that was run in Germany in the 1930s, a horrifying program that executed Germans, not Jews, Germans with mental illness. Tens and hundreds of thousands of Germans with disabilities, mental illness, and various conditions that made them unable to lead lives that Hitler considered normal were actually deliberately euthanized in this program. Before Hitler went on his killing spree of the Jewish people, of what he called a final solution, he first killed those with physical disabilities and with mental disabilities. So yes, Kanye, before you go on and bully the Jewish people, before your fans go on and bully the Jewish people, learn the history. Learn what happened in Germany. Learn what hate brought to. Learn what a deadly impact the Action T4, or as in German they say Aktion, T4 program had in Germany. Remember the price that was paid. Remember that when hate begins, it's very hard to hold it back and undo that spiral. And remember that it's the Jewish faith that taught the world that every life has dignity. It was the Jewish people who brought forth to the world this idea of humans being created in God's image. And it's the Jewish people who continue to practice that along with so many billions of people around the world. And those who challenge the Jewish people with anti-Semitism also challenge the foundational ideas of Judaism. And one of the foundational ideas of Judaism is that no matter how disabled or pained a person is, we treat them with respect. We treat them with dignity. We're charitable, we're kind, and we're compassionate. And you know what? It's because of those ideas that Hitler hated us. He said it. He said he hated us because we're too compassionate. He said it because he said he hated us because we're too kind. And he saw that kindness as weakness. But as Rabbi Jonathan Sachs always liked to say, a society is strongest when it cares for the weakest. And that's what the Jewish people are about. We're about caring for those with mental illness, for those with disabilities, for those who are different than us. And when you start the pain and path of anti-Semitism, you're challenging that foundational idea, and that's a danger to entire society. So Kanye, my advice to you is obviously get good medical care, but my advice to you and all those around you is study what the T4 program was in Germany in the 1930s. Study how many tens of thousands of Germans were killed by the T4 program. Study what Hitler had done to his people, how Germany has lost 7.5 million Germans during the Second World War at its own fault. Study the 50 million innocent lives lost during World War II. Study the fact that World War II has brought on the world destruction like it has never ever seen, with more than 5% of the world population being killed. And study the fact that once you unleash the horrors of hate, it's very hard to undo that. So my message to Kanye is a message of compassion, because I know he's ill, but I also want him to study history, and I want his followers to study history, and the trolls who think they're just being funny or just being mean should remember what happened with that T4 program in Germany in the 1930s. They should understand that people with mental illness were actually the first to be targeted by Hitler's Nazi Germany, and they should remember that once you begin the cycle of meanness, it's very hard to stop it. So again, the Jewish people are people of forgiveness, of compassion, but we're also a people of the history, and we're going to remind you of the history and how dangerous what Kanye West is spewing now is, and how uninformed and ignorant those who cheer him on are, and how people like him do need to get the care they need, but also need to be called out by every single aspect of society. Nobody's really angry at someone who's completely lost his mind. We're angry at the silent people, at the bystanders, at those who are liking those hateful tweets and messages. That's who we're angry at. Study the history. Remember that this could bring the destruction of society when once hate is unleashed, and make sure you don't do that and you spread a message of love, of kindness, and remembering that anti-Semitism is an absolutely existential danger to any society that tolerates it and lets it